A very, very good evening. Welcome. Thank you for joining us on Two Full Tossers after what both Alan and I will tell you immediately is an unforgivable gap, except that it is forgivable in this case because last week we just felt, and it's a rare moment of almost being serious on this show. I think it's fair to say that the mood last Monday night, Mr. Committie, probably wasn't entirely right for a cricket show of this depth and seriousness and analytical detail.
That's exactly right. And I think we made the right decision. It also meant that we could sit back and enjoy some of the fantastic cricket that has been on offer to take our minds away from some of the serious stuff going on around us. But here we are, episode, I think it is, following last, I think it's episode, and a fantastic long season. And tonight's guest, I mean, I don't know if we keep working our way up like this. I don't know that we can keep scaling these heights, but magnificent. I can't wait to talk to him.
I am very excited, but particularly because most people think that he's famous for a position that he holds, which is true, just not the position that people think is the reason why he is so famous. He is an outstanding cricket figure, and he is responsible entirely for the current success of the national cricket team. I'll let you work out exactly who he is. Look, we got some important stuff to talk about. We've had some great performances. We've bounced back in Ireland, wonderful performances in the West Indies. But before we go into any of that, people tune in, sometimes in their dozens, Alan, mostly accidentally, for the weekly throwback, the dose of nostalgia that is Alan's Lost Legend. We'll find out who that is a little later in the show, but give us a clue. Who have you dragged out of a dusty corner of cricketing history?
Well, now take a look at that young, bustling little figure there. Oh, the sprightly, sitting on his little insteps. Who is that? Look at that haircut. My goodness, he's got a little pigtail at the front of his hair. What a strange little man that is. Do you recognize him? Take your chubby little fingers, type something into the chat box and tell us if you know. He's no Lee Barnard. I can almost guarantee that with some certainty. But who is this lost legend that we will talk about sooner rather than later?
I think this is going to be one of those ones where I do pinch myself because there's definitely some familiarity there. Also, if we can just have another quick look at that photo, just another quick look. That is admirable use of conditioner. I'd say that's conditioning twice, sometimes 3 times a week, and possibly twice at the same time. That's magnificent. Right.
It's a post-wash pre-conditioning conditioner after the third wash. Incredible. And it looks like he's not wearing socks, but he is. He hasn't gone for the youngsters today who don't wear socks. He's gone for the skin tight, which are tremendous. I can't wait to talk about him in a couple of minutes. But first, I suspect we should go and talk about, just moments ago, our fantastic victory in the first of the T20 games against that mighty, mighty nation, Ireland.
Who did beat us in a one-day international not that long ago. I think we have a look at the South African team, and there were a few murmurs and rumbles, and we were a little bit lucky in the West Indies. We got bailed out by Shamsi and a couple of other the slower bowlers. But if you have a look, and I think we'll do this with great relish, at the recent West Indies-Australia series, Australia absolutely hammered. They got murdered, slaughtered. They were nowhere. And this Alan Committie says to me 2 things. It says to me, we can win the T20 cricket. I'm saying it, tempt fate as I may do. We can win the T20 Cricket World Cup this year. But the other thing it says to me, Alan Committie, and I put my hand on the breast of my Richie Benno imitation jacket and say this wholeheartedly, this says to me, this is a team that is being run by a board with exactly the right chairman. That's what it says to me.
I don't think anyone could put it any better. You have got to the very nub of the situation, and congratulations to the side working under the auspices of great leadership, hugely magnificent leadership. Well done them. Well done to them.
All right. So team is looking good. Is Tabraiz Shamsi the best T20 bowler in the world at the moment? Because we'll be honest here, you have raised 2 question marks over the past. How do you feel that? He's not.
He's not. He's the best bowler of all time in any format across any sport.
Okay, so you're hedging your bets.
I am. He's now the greatest human ever, other than Rassie Erasmus. And if the two of them could somehow engage in some kind of unification, I'm not saying they should get civilly bound. I just think they'd just be such a happy couple. Tabré Shamsi, magnificent. Rassie Erasmus, better. Wonderful. Love them both.
Oh dear. All right, it has been brilliant to watch. There's been a bit of cricket rumbling about, but I think the cricket that is shimmering onto the horizon, other than the 2 T20s still to be played in Belfast, that hotbed of international cricketing engagement, would be the series that every player we've spoken to on this show who is going to play in it still doesn't really understand. It's much like the Duckworth-Lewis system, or that 3-team, 3-innings game that Francois Pienaar came up with after 8 bottles of wine over dinner that we played at some point that I don't remember. The 100. Are you still resolute in your determination not to watch any of it?
So not only am I determined, what I've done now since I last saw you in the gap of the week is I bought 3 more TVs which I will not watch the 100 on, so that I can watch less than 100 on more. Yes. Yeah, I bought them. I bought them. I bought them. I don't. It's too soon. I bought them, but from loot.co.za, and I have you can take a lot from them, and don't. But I now have got less TV, but more TVs to not watch less of the 100. It just sounds pathetic and ridiculous. And now on top of that, I think they've banned the playing of Sweet Caroline. Did you read that?
I saw that.
So now you can't have fun either. That's the new rule, I think, in cricket, if this isn't even deemed cricket. Anyway, we'll see what comes along. It's all. By the way, you haven't brought this up, and I'm a little disappointed. I don't know the exact details, but I did read today. Did Zimbabwe lose to? Zimbabwe lost in the last. Oh yes, I thought that might be the reaction. I think Zimbabwe just lost. I don't even think there was opposition. They just lost again. A sadness.
Heartbreaking stuff. I might even come out of retirement to get back up. Look, speaking of coming out of retirement, I'll be coming out of winter retirement, because a little later on this season, my cricket club, a team which you've represented once or twice, will be beginning its new season of colourful and largely unsuccessful cricket. And that has an important link to our guest this evening, as well as our national captain. Aha! You are intrigued, I can tell, but you're going to have to wait a moment to find out what those mystical links are, because you're also intrigued as to who our lost legend is. So, Alan Committie, back over to you. Who is this week's Alan's lost legend?
There he is, the youngster that was the bowling partner of Alan Donald for the great Orange Free State side of the 80s and very early 90s, later taking on coaching duties, all kinds of interesting activities since he's left the playing field. But he is, of course, none other than the magnificent Corrie van Zyl. There he is. Look at that. Oh, from those strange little looks when he was younger to the steely-eyed, grey George Clooney-esque visage that you see there. Corrie van Zyl, of course, I have fond memories of the B&H final where Free State beat Western Province at Newlands. I was the only person in the stadium that was supporting Free State. Gordon Parsons, Corrie van Zyl, Alan Donald, and between the three of them, they took, I think, all 10 wickets. Fantastic. The opening salvo between Donald and van Zyl. There he is, not quite in his heyday. Just throwing some, I would imagine, in a coaching position there. But this was a fantastic line and length bowler. Definitely a legend from the past. No Lee Barnard, that's for sure. But Gary van Lochrenberg once again has got it right. Well done, Gary. He tunes in at about 6 o'clock. Clive Rice, says Warren Bailey, in an attempt to show just how the state of education in South Africa is falling by the wayside. Chandray van Wyk just laughing at the hairstyle. But this is no Lee Barnard, but he is this week's lost legend, the delight that was Corrie van Zyl. Mooi gedaan, Corrie.
Indeed. I am kicking myself now. Well done to Gary van Lochrenberg, who is the former Boylan scrum half, who had his birthday last week. And
happy, sir.
We were off air. Congratulations, Gary. And well done, Shanray Van Fake, who is, of course, the illegitimate son of comedian Jason Goliath. And lovely to have him tuning in as well. Right, we've got a very special guest this evening. He's quite well known of late for his position within the administration of the game of cricket, but he is far more celebrated to those in the know as a tactical genius in the art of cricket captaincy. He is famous for his unorthodox and at times deeply suspicious field placings, completely random bowling changes, largely brought on by whoever is most eager to buy him a few beers after the game, but also the first person to buy said beers for anybody else. He has inspired me, and he is the best captain I've played under, and I've played under both Flower Brothers and Alistair Campbell. So I do not say this lightly. He is a specialist number 9 batsman. Nobody wears their trousers higher on a cricket field, and I am always proud to walk out onto a field with him. He is also the new chairman of the Board of Cricket South Africa. A very warm welcome to 2 full tossers to the great Lawson Naidoo.
Unbelievable. A legend. Hello, sir.
Good evening, chaps.
Mr. Chairman, sir, good evening. How do we have to address you now? Do you have a particular honorific that you prefer to go by?
Sir will do, Dan.
Sir. Nothing less, nothing more.
So, well, welcome and congratulations. You've got a job that I think you are eminently well suited for, because you are borderline psychotic in your obsession with cricket, which is something both Alan and I highly approve of. You are also a man of enormously good standing and held in extremely high regard across the country. How did this come about? Were you planning to get this job? Was it completely accidental and you found out by text message? What was the journey to becoming our new chairperson?
Well, it was all a bit of a blur, to be honest, Dan, and had nothing to do with alcohol, I might hasten to add. I did consciously apply to become a director on the board, and was pleasantly surprised when I made the cut as director. And then quite alarmingly at the suspended and held over AGM of CSA, I was, without being approached beforehand, nominated and appointed initially as the chair of the audit committee. And as you know, I would have needed an abacus to be able to handle that job. But much to my relief, a few days later, I was given the honor by my fellow directors on the board and elected chairman of the board. So it all happened rather quickly and without much foresight.
Well, I'm very glad that you've got the job. Alan and I were talking. We're a little bit disappointed. We thought you would have fixed everything by now, but we're happy to give you another week. What does it actually entail? What's your day-to-day, week-to-week job in terms of actually running Cricket South Africa?
Well, you know, ideally, in the longer term, it won't be running Cricket South Africa, but overseeing the running of Cricket South Africa. But, you know, there's been a lot of turbulence, particularly in the at the level of the executive management team at CSA. So the board is having to play quite a hands-on role at the moment and you know, putting in place new systems, new processes. We've just advertised yesterday, in fact, for a new CEO for Cricket South Africa. So there's been a lot of work for us to get our heads around. It's a steep learning curve for all of us. Some members of the board have, of course, been there before, so have a better understanding than many of us of what the job entails, and how Cricket South Africa as an entity operates. And you know, it's a big organization with 80 full-time staff members, not including the players, which takes it up to about 130. So it's a big organization with a big budget, and unfortunately, the finances are not in a great state after the recent trials and tribulations in cricket. So there's a lot to fix in a very short period of time.
If I remember back, and I think Alan, you'll be able to attest to this happening, as the not just captain but also chairman of the Spin Doctors, I think you took over the chair role from Johnny DeLange after he was given a lifetime ban for removing his shirt on the field, which was entirely right. you had a very admirable philosophy in terms of how you pick the team and then the batting order, whereby basically whoever bought beer and contributed to the braai got a preferential spot. Will you be adopting a similar philosophy when selecting the Proteas? And I think we both hope the answer is yes.
Why change your winning habit, Dan?
Yes, the Lawson Naidoo we know.
It's worked for me all these years. It still does. Tucker gets into the team every week.
Oh dear, that's a terrifying thought. Do you, in all seriousness, do you have any say whatsoever? Can you pick up the phone and say, you know what, I really feel, let's take a couple of random names, Alan and Dan really ought to be in the side. Is there any sway? Do you want there to be any sway? Is there a very strict divide? How does that side of it work?
No, well, firstly, let me say that we take all the credit for all our recent victories as the new board. It's obviously totally down to the confidence that we've inspired in the team.
Yes,
that is, undoubted. No, I mean, I don't think we ever want to be in a position to influence team selection and so on. That's something that's got to be left up to the team management that is put in place. The selection panel, captain and the coach to deal with that, because ultimately they're responsible for the results on the field. And our responsibility is to create an administrative framework that allows them to perform, not to worry about what's happening in terms of finances and other issues, and just allows them to focus on what they do best, which is playing cricket, representing South Africa, and hopefully winning the T20 World Cup later this year.
I think that sounds very like a good template to work from. I guess I want to know, what do you think about where the team is at the moment? We know we keep hearing the same old things. They're rebuilding. It's a young team. It's an inexperienced team. But it does feel like there's a little bit of a change in momentum, or at least a change in feel amongst the team in the last couple of weeks, perhaps even month or two. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think what we're seeing with this team, which is really encouraging, is a unity of purpose within the team, a real good spirit amongst the team. They're all pulling together, and even in the West Indies, when we didn't bat so well, the bowlers came to the party. The fielding was outstanding. Again today in the T20 against Ireland, we should probably have scored 20-25 runs more than we did. But the bowlers came out and fired, and saw us home. So it's that kind of spirit in the team that I think we really want to see. And yes, some results will go against us, but as long as that spirit is nurtured and built upon, I think it augurs really well for the future. That we've got a team that really plays for each other.
We are seeing your passion for cricket come through very clearly. You are wearing your Spin Doctors sleeveless cricket sweater, which I don't think I've ever seen you without. Which underscores just how dedicated you are to our cricket side. Where does the passion for cricket come from, Lawson?
Really, from a very young age, Dan. As a child growing up in Durban, I fell in love with the game, watching the then Natal side with players such as Vince van der Bijl, Barry Richards, a little bit later, the likes of Bob Wilmer, and so on, playing for Natal back then. And that's where I fell in love with the game, watching it there, playing it at school. And that love affair with the game has continued for over 50 years now.
I love that dedication to it. The cricket that you've played, we've played many matches together. The Spin Doctors are probably the most underrated cricket side in the country at the moment. If you look back, give us your favourite personal cricket memory of the games you've played, and then your favorite memory just as a cricket fan.
Well, there were so many good memories. We've had such characters that have played for the Spin Doctors over the years. It's a roll list of former cabinet ministers, from Alec Irwin, Trevor Manuel, Kader Asmal, umpiring games, and people giving people out leg before for balls that would have missed an extra set of stumps. The infamous Johnny DeLongo, who had to have it, pulled up with an injury in every single game, and we still joke about the fact that he had part of his contract was that he had to have a statutory injury in every single game that the Spin Doctors played. So we've had a remarkable array of talents, including the two of you. Dave Levittson, I recall, you dragged him onto the cricket field once as well, Dan, and that was a sight for sore eyes if ever I saw one.
Low point.
And to having a very young Temba Bavuma play for the Spin Doctors on occasion, and we taught him everything he knows.
A very Lawson Naidoo-like approach to the art of batting. Your recollections, Alan, of the imperious leadership and dedication to craft of Captain Lawson Naidoo?
Well, you've spoken about some of the brilliance. I remember me having to run from fine leg to extra cover, but not across the field, off the field, and then around the block, and then coming in from the other side. Sometimes missing 2 or 3 overs in the doing of that, but that didn't seem to bother any of our fielding abilities. I remember Lawson bowling much like a Richard McGlashan of the late 80s, arms akimbo everywhere, and you didn't quite know where the ball would come out of. Certainly he had no idea.
Or where it would go.
Or where it would go. Well, we know where it went. Back to where I'd just come from 2 blocks down, but I'd have to go and fetch it on my way back to a fine leg in between overs. But yeah, listen, the fun that was had, and as you say, in between all of that silliness, just occasionally some amazing talent and incredible or people from different walks of life that you suddenly went, oh, there is this love of cricket. I think one of my favorite things is meeting people from all walks of life who are drawn to this amazing and silly game. And you go, isn't this fantastic that we all have this one thing in common? I think that delights me a little.
And there is, and then I think the three of us are wonderful examples of it. There is no sport that quite captures the tragic devotion like it does, and we're all very guilty of that.
Exactly.
Oh dear, Lawson. What about the way ahead? Cricket has had some very tough times. We're all extremely aware of that, and there is much to be done, much to be repaired. But we've got a really strong platform, and that there's so much talent in this country. Broadly speaking, if you were to sit down with us in 5 years' time, when Two Full Tosses has been broadcast on 85 networks around the world, and were to say, this is what I've done in the last 5 years, this is what we've done, this is where cricket has got to, what's a win for you?
Well, it's stabilizing the governance of the game, I think, is the most important thing. It's something that I think it's not just cricket in South Africa, but cricket across the world has suffered from poor governance over the years. And we've seen, for example, the success of New Zealand, a small cricketing country that has done exceptionally well because they put in place some years ago the governance structure that we've just adopted in South Africa, which is a majority independent board with sound governance principles and running the game professionally and well, and allowing the team to focus on what they do. And if we can do that, we will have achieved a lot. Of course, linked to that is the fact that we need to bring sponsors back into the game. We know that in recent times, sponsors have left the game because they were dissatisfied with how things were being run administratively. And a big challenge for this new board is to go and talk to those sponsors and to get them back into the game. It's not just about providing the sort of security of financial sustainability for the professional game, but to allow us to do the really important work of growing the game at a grassroots level. Because as you say, Dan, there's a whole plethora of talent in this country, and we need to go out there and identify it. I mean, I've been hearing some of the testimony at the social justice and nation-building hearings that have been taking place over the last 2 weeks. And a number of black players in particular have said, why is it that, there are so few black African players that have come through, not just into the national side, but even into provincial and franchise teams. The fact that some of them can do it shows that the talent is there. We need to go out there, find it, nurture it, and ensure that it reaches the top. And if we will have created a pathway for that to happen in the next 3 to 5 years, I think that would be a real success for this Board of Cricket South Africa.
We shall keep our scorecard. Please put this date in your diary for 2026, the 19th of July. and we shall bring you back onto the show and grill you to see if you have done your job and see how we progress. Of course, what's going to make your job a lot easier, Lawson, and it's the one failing I think you've had so far. And unless, Alan, since I last spoke to you a couple of hours ago in one of our 5 or 6 daily phone calls, I think we both sit in a space where neither of us has received a call from Mr. Naidoo saying, Dan, Alan, we need you on the board. You're the guys who are really going to help us make a difference. Come and join us. And we've had some rather good ideas about cricket in South Africa, Alan, Committee, have we not?
I think we have, and I've even bought myself extra phones, thinking, well, maybe he hasn't got this number. I've sent him messages on Facebook, Lawson. I've Instagram, because he's a huge Instagram influencer. I've sent him Insta stories. I'm following him on Twitter. He keeps blocking me. I changed my names, and I've numerous occasions said, look at these two faces. Look at that face. Look at my face. Why wouldn't you have us here? Cricketing brains par excellence. And we're ignored. We're ignored left, right, and even the centre.
I have a Richie Benno jacket. That wasn't enough. But let's take this opportunity.
But where's the tie from, Dan?
The tie. This is the one also for you. This is the McNaidoo clan from just north of Dunfermline, which I thought would be an appropriate one to wear.
Very apt. Very apt.
Very, very good. Very good.
We've been thinking of things, the home and away series to the Maldives as part of growing the game of cricket, and as board members, we'd be happy to go along to help that particular process. We think that's very, very important.
I would like to very strongly for Lee Barnard to come back into the fold. I think that he was ostracized at a very young age, and although he's now in his early 60s, I think he has a lot to offer, and particularly as an all-rounder. We're missing an all-rounder. Great left-handed batsman and a right-handed fielder and bowler. And teeth. He's got a lot of teeth. And I just think Lee Barnard needs to be brought back into the fold. So that would be my call. What else?
I think industrial quarantining of Australians. Just generally, really. But with particular regard to cricket. And then we're not sure, maybe you've got a thought on this. It is very important, this cricket development, as I mentioned with Maldives, but should we be working quite so hard as the official cricket development space of the New Zealand national 11?
Well, they can probably do without your help, I would have thought. I think they're doing rather well at the moment.
Oh dear. All right. I sense that our space on the board is not quite yet certain, so we're going to have to do a little bit more work on that.
Keep plugging away. Keep plugging away.
All right.
We've got a cricket quiz. In fact, we've got 2 of them to subject you to. Just before we do that, just a follow up on a question earlier. Your all-time away from the Spin Doctors, just as a cricket fan. I don't think you've missed a minute at Newlands. Well, certainly you've been there physically. Maybe the third session has been a little blurry occasionally, but you've certainly always been there for the games. What is your very, very favourite cricket memory as a fan?
Oh, so many of them. I've seen some huge battles at Newlands. Morne Mokel bowling some incredible spells. Dale Steyn, Alan Donald. Watching Hashim make his maiden Test 100 against New Zealand at Newlands was a particularly wonderful moment to see that talent come to the fore, and he went on to make so many more hundreds for South Africa. But there've just been so many riveting moments of cricket. Watching Vernon Philander's incredible spell against the Aussies a few years back. That was probably the highlight, was Philander's spell in that match, because it was just such brilliant, almost perfect bowling on a helpful wicket, but he still had to get the ball to do the work, and he did.
It was a beautiful wicket compared to a couple of the tracks that we have had Spin Doctors games on, which frequently recently ploughed tobacco fields in rural corners of Zimbabwe. But we don't complain, and neither should they. And last one before the quiz. We've seen David Gower, we've seen Laura Volvart, we've seen Jacques Callis, We've seen Aidan Markram more recently. We've seen some marvellous exponents of the cover drive. But is there a better cover driver of a cricket ball on the planet than your chief lieutenant, the author, political correspondent, Arsenal tragic, and man about town, Dr. Professor Richard Calland?
Oh, he certainly has has the most gracious cover drive that one can imagine. It's all the more sweet when he actually strikes the ball, and even better when he gets it off the square, which hasn't happened for a couple of seasons now.
I think I missed that, Ken. He's a beautiful cover driver. Probably his main problem is that I don't think he has any other shots, and it's quite difficult to cover drive one that's just whistling past your nose in the opening overs. But he tries nonetheless.
As you would well know, Dan, having worn one.
Indeed. and you and he very kindly drove me to the hospital, and I will always remember your great kindness and generosity. All right, as we do each week, we have a cricket quiz. Now, some people have done particularly well on this quiz. I think Darren Goff got 4 out of 5. Scotty Styrus got 1 out of 5. JP Dermody got 1 out of 5. Vernon got 3 out of 5. So no one's got 5. We'd expect, I think, the chair of the board of Cricket South Africa to get 6 or 7 out of 5. But we'll see how you go. Are you ready for the two full Cossa's devilish cricket quiz, Mr. Chairman?
Let's give it a shot.
All right. So here we go. Testing your cricket knowledge. And here's your first one. Who is the only South African to have taken 10 wickets in a match at Lord's?
Makhaya Ntini.
Makhaya Ntini is correct. The chairman is off to a flying start. 1 out of 1. Right, I've got a picture here dressed up in a black outfit and a name that suggests he's from somewhere else. I'd like to know who is this South African cricketer?
Yeah, he's obviously a Kiwi now.
Yeah, but
yeah. Is he the guy that just scored lots of runs against England?
He is...
I can't get to his name.
I think you are thinking of Devon Conway. He's not. He's actually the Peter Maritzburg all-rounder who gave us a tough time at the World Cup in 2015. That is Grant Elliott.
Oh, Grant, yes. Well, of course, he's a right-hander, so it couldn't have been Devon.
All right, 1 out of 2. Okay, let's test geography here. I'm going to show you a picture of a cricket field. It's got a rather famous landmark. Which cricket field is this, Lawson Naidoo?
Canterbury.
Have a look at the signage and then have another think.
Potch?
It's actually the City Ground in Peter Maritzburg, famous for having the tree inside the boundary rope. I'm not sure what the exact legislation is in terms of taking catches caught off the tree, but it's doubtless something that happened with a Spin Doctors game. Go back to the very first test after readmission, South Africa versus the West Indies. Alan Donald took the new ball. Who did he share it with against the West Indies? I'll give you a clue. His son's not a bad bowler either. Back to 1991 against an opening partnership of Desmond Haynes and Phil Simmons, who opened in that game.
No, I can't remember. Clive Rice?
It wasn't Clive Rice. It was Tertius Bosch. We're deliberately being a little nasty here, but you are the chairman, so you get no shortcuts. And finally, last player for you here. He's from the Netherlands. I'd like to know, what is his particular connection to South Africa? What's his most famous link to South African cricket?
The illegitimate son of Imran Tahir?
I'll tell you what, you can have a point for that. It's a brilliant answer. I'm not sure if he also runs 300 meters every time he takes a wicket. That was actually Dan van Bungo, who most famously got hit for 6 sixes in an over by Hershey Gibbs in the 2007 World Cup. So 2 out of 5, which still puts you in the top 30% of all of our guests. So congratulations. Well done. We made the mistake last week of asking poor Laura Walbart questions from before 2005, at which point she got 3 and got nothing. All right. Well done. An admirable effort. I'll now make things a little trickier, though, by handing you over to the rapid-fire selection of questions from Dr. Alan Committie.
Well, these are not rapid fire. What we've gone for is a slight change of pace here, which I quite like. These are would you rather questions, which we throw at you, Lawson, and then we open up to discussion very briefly between all three of us. But it just gives us a sense of what could be in the world of cricket if all things were as they were. So would you rather have AB de Villiers play for us in the T20 World Cup side, but in order to get him, we have to lose Shamsi?
Definitely not.
Shamsi's your game winner rather than AB de Villiers.
Absolutely.
100%. You have no questions in your mind that Shamsi, brilliant as he is, and I said earlier he's the best bowler of all time, has to have runs to defend. What happens if we don't make any runs? Is what I'm...
Well, as we've proven recently, we don't need to make that many runs to win.
Correct. Anything more than 10, we've still got a chance. I like the thing. Are you happy with that, Mr. Nicholl? Would you, AB, no Shamsi? You'd stay with Shamsi?
Oh, it would have been a tougher one 6 months ago, but Shamo is just bowling beautifully. He hasn't bowled a bad ball since he's been having those video coaching lessons on the line to Lawson. And it's really, he's got the right chairman of the board. Things are working.
All right. Here's a slightly more difficult one, more challenging one. Would you rather that we won that semi-final in 1999 in England with a disastrous run-out between Donald and Klusener? We won that game, but in order to win that game, we are not allowed to win a cricket test match in Australia till this point. In other words, all those lovely victories in 16, 17, 18, 19. It feels like every year we won at least one test against Australia. We changed it. We win the 99 World Cup, but we can't beat Australia in a test. What do we give up there? What are we prepared to give up, men? Oh, it's a tough one, isn't it? It's a tough one.
Not really. Test matches win all the time.
See, this is
sacrifice the World Cup for test match victories.
You're saying that now, but what you're forgetting is the pain that you've just... I think you've just been to a lot of therapy, because I know Dan and I both have, and we no longer consider the pain that we went through from that 99.
Not as much therapy as Donald would have needed.
That's true.
You know, the first time he watched that again properly was on the Dan Nicholl show, and
really?
It probably didn't help that one of the other guests on my show that week was Leon Schuster.
All right. Here's one, not cricket related. Would you rather have a friend who's a lawyer or a friend who's a doctor that you could call on at any time? Ooh, that's interesting. A doctor or a lawyer? What's going to be more beneficial to you if you suddenly had, I need to call this person? Come on, quickly, let's go. What's your gut? Lawyer or doctor?
Of course, a lawyer. You know, the world can't survive without lawyers. And the spin doctors have had more than their fair share of lawyers over the years.
They are all spin doctors, though.
Two points to back up Lawson. One, I'm married to a lawyer, so I have to say lawyer. Two, as has been proved in the modern world, if you need medical advice, all you need to do is put up a question on Facebook. You'll get it sorted out straight away.
That's true.
Exactly.
And often by lawyers. Yeah, you've made... All right. Okay, finally then, would you rather the Springboks beat the Lions over the next 3 weekends, but then we don't win any cups for the next 3 years in cricket?
No, I'm going to have to sacrifice the box for some silverware for the Proteas, I'm afraid.
But are we going to win any silverware? I mean, listen, I'm all for optimism, and I'm supporting my team as I always do. But
yes,
I think we definitely have a shout at winning silverware in the T20 World Cup this year, in the Women's World Cup in South Africa next year. So all things looking good.
Okay. Oh, I like that. Okay. Yeah. So what you're saying is, Rassie Erasmus, stuff you. We don't care. We're here for the cricket. And quite right. We're a cricket show, and that is true. I'm with you. Buddy. Rusty's going to be
we can live off the 2019 World Cup for a bit longer.
I gotcha. All right. Well done, you.
Oh dear, you're in a particularly dark mood this week, Mr. Committie, but we shall forgive you. It's been a tough time for talk. Lawson Naidoo, it's been absolutely fantastic spending time with you here, as it has been over the years, with you as my fearless leader for the Spin Doctors, which brings us to our very last question before we wrap up. And it's just between the three of us, obviously. Match tickets for members of the Spin Doctors in boxes with complimentary bars. Has the process been finalized? What are the details? Where do we collect those tickets?
You'll have to reach out to a certain Mr. Martin Tucker, whose executive suite will be opening at the railway stand once again.
Oh dear, you are made for the job of chairman, born politician, charming diplomat, and most importantly, someone with a great love of the game of cricket. And I think, Lawson, for all of your other qualities, and you have many, and we've seen them, your time in South African politics with CASIC, with holding so many different people to account for the very right reasons, it's the fact that you are absolutely obsessed with cricket that stands us in such good stead with you at the helm. So best of luck. We laugh and joke about it a little now, but I know it's a tough and demanding job. You're well equipped to deal with it, though. Good luck. Enjoy it. And Alan and I look forward to joining you on the board and joining you for those away trips to the Caribbean for important cricketing matters.
Indeed. Look forward to it. and look forward to you coming in off your long run again, Dan.
I fear it might be more Johnny DeLunger-like than ever before. There we go. Our very special guest on Two Full Tosses this week, Lawson Naidoo, the new chairman of the Board of Cricket South Africa, the captain of the Spin Doctors, multiple other highlights and titles, but mostly just a cricket fan. And isn't that fabulous?
Absolutely. The cricket fan thing is going to stand him and all of us in good stead. And a man with integrity and great intelligence, all of those things are just good for our game. Excited to see what he's going to do with that cricket board and with all the admin stuff in the back end of our cricket hierarchy. Exciting times.
They are indeed challenges, but also opportunity. The Proteas continue later this week. The two games in Belfast as the T20 series comes to an end. T20s on the horizon for the World Cup. The utterly unintelligible The 100 coming up shortly as well. Sans Sweet Caroline and plenty of other cricket along the way. We will be back next week as usual. We've got absolutely no idea who'll be joining us, but I guarantee you that there will be great fun and much entertainment, and most importantly, keep Alan and I happy. Thank you for joining us on Two Full Tosses. A belated happy birthday once again to Gary Van Lockenberg, and we'll see you again next Monday night from Two Full Tosses. Myself and Alan Committie, good night.